Hello everyone, welcome to another week in our very sunny garden. Now we're starting off underneath the grapevine. By the looks of it, most of the grapes are now set. There's little tiny grapes hanging everywhere. If they all come, I think we're going to have a good crop this year. Obviously the grapevine never gets fed or watered because its roots are underneath the shed, so I can't go and help it in this hot weather. It has to look after itself, and it seems to be doing alright for it. Now before we start this week, we've had some secateurs gifted to us from a nice gentleman called Neil, who's actually subscribed to me. Thank you, Neil, for that. Now it's a small family company that supply Sensei Secateurs for us gardeners, and he sent me a pair to try, so I'll show you them and then we'll put them to a little bit of work as well. This is the box they come in, very nicely presented. Look at that, very nice. But being in a nice box is good. What matters to us gardeners is whether they're going to perform or not, isn't it? But what I find straight away, they feel good in hand. It's got an easy to flick lock, so you can soon lock them down and unlock them. And while you're using them, you can hear the blade passing. They are a bypass secateur, they're not an anvil. They feel good. There's a little bit of weight to them, which is so you know you've got something to do the job. I've had no problems with them up to now. I find them useful, very comfortable. Everything I've asked them to cut up to now, they've cut. But we'll keep using them and we'll keep updating you on their progress. But I think they're going to be okay, and they're really very reasonable price. They're under £20. So if you're looking for a good pair of reasonably priced secateurs, Sensei. Now they are available on Amazon, and I'll get Diane to put the link on for you so you can have a look at it. Very good. So there you are, they're Sensei Secateurs. Now we need to go down the garden to harvest a couple of cauliflowers, which I'm quite looking forward to, because I'm only seeing them through the mesh. It'd be nice to get them out and have a look at them. And then we'll harvest a little bit of soft fruit. We've got some work to do in the greenhouse, and I do believe we need to empty the potatoes out of the boxes so we can get some nice new potatoes for the weekend. Just before we set off, I've got the garlic here drying out. It's nearly ready. There's just enough to what we want there. It's not the biggest, some are very small. They're all broken to individual cloves, so that's fine. They're all nice and tidy. So by the time I see you next week, I should probably have them platted. Let's go and harvest some cauliflower. Now we're down at the tunnel where the cauliflowers are. As you can see, I've had to put a full cover on them just to keep the sun from burning those curds. It's only a single fleece. It doesn't stop a lot of light, but enough to stop the sun actually burning the curds. Now these are the cauliflowers we're going to harvest. I don't know if I can tell you size, but that's my huge hand, so you can see they're quite a size. These are not quite ready yet, and it goes right through the bed. One at this end is definitely ready. As you can see, it's just beginning to purple a little bit, so it really needs now to come out. Right, we'll lift this one first. A little bit of purpling where the light's caught it a bit. That means it's really ready to get up there and get into that freezer. Let's lift it and see what we can do. I should just pull it out the ground if I can, and then cut the roots away. As you can see here, look, beautiful and clean, absolutely super. I'm so pleased with these mesh tunnels. Oh, there it is. It took a bit of pulling out the ground. Roots are nice. I just like to leave the soil on the garden, as you know, so we just take that off. Right, so I'll just, oh, if I can, I'll just take some of these leaves from round it and then show you it presented, okay? Right, we'll take this one as well. It's just as big. There you go. Beautiful cauliflower that. Outside, absolutely perfect, look. I'm so pleased with that. Right, so the same again, I'll dress it and then present the two together, okay? There you are then, a good pair of cauliflowers, first of the season. We'll show you in a minute what else is there coming along under this tunnel. And believe me, they're a good weight. Right, we'll just show you one or two of the others that are coming along. These aren't far off ready now. Within the week I think that will be ready for taking. We'll just show you some of the others. Another one here, this was between the two that we harvested, so it's a little bit cramped, but it's coming along fine. As you can see, these aren't quite ready yet. These are a different variety. I will look the name up and let you know when we harvest, but we certainly want it bigger than that. Here are, you see, there's plenty coming. Now we've done our little harvest, I'm going to stop now and really get these covers tucked back on, because we don't want no white fly, green fly, butterfly, any sort of fly in here, so we're going to cover it up straight away. Now, if you remember, last autumn we prepared this bed for growing the cauliflowers in a special way. So I'll get Diane to put the link on so you can see how much work went into the preparation of the bed to grow cauliflowers. Okay. Now we'll go and pick some fruit. I think it'll be my job to pick the gooseberries. Now, I was going to put the carrots in this raised bed this week, but the ground, I've been watering and watering and watering it, and I just cannot seem to get the water to hold in this heat. So we might just put that back for a week and have a go at doing it next week. It's the main crop carrots that we're going to put in, but I just cannot keep it moist enough for the seed to germinate, so we'll just leave that for a week. But in the meantime, I will keep wetting the bed. Hopefully we can keep it wet enough, and then we'll set the seed. Now, I don't know if you've noticed, but we've left the filming, and especially the harvesting, till very late afternoon when the sun's going down, and we've got one or two clouds coming across now, so it's really cooled down a lot. So it makes life easier for us harvesting. Now we're going to harvest the red gooseberries, the green gooseberries, and some blackcurrants. There is quite a few strawberries ready, but we'll leave those today, and then Diane's just going to pick the tail end of those few raspberries just to clear the bushes, and then next week we'll prune out the old and tie in the new, and that's another job we can do. The gooseberries, the red ones, I'm going to pick very, very prickly, so if you're picking yours, wear some gloves if you need. These are the gooseberries we're going to pick. Very, very sharp, these spines, so be very, very careful. Wear some gloves if you need them. But as you can see, there's loads and loads on them. I'm going to really enjoy picking these. Pick the green ones as well, nice and juicy and fat, look. They'll do nicely in some lovely puddings. If you just look over the top, just as we pass, you can see the blueberries are just beginning to colour up now, look very nice. Should have a decent crop out of those. I'm also going to take these blackcurrants, not such a massive crop this year, but enough for what we want. Right, we'll get on picking and then we'll show you when we've harvested. Right, it's getting very late afternoon now, it's nearly time for tea, but we've picked a basket of red gooseberries and a basket of blackcurrants. That's going to have to do for today because we need to go up to the cottage and get tea ready, and I'm ready for a cup of tea anyway. These are the two cauliflowers we just harvested. Beautiful, beautiful heads. And these are the two baskets of fruit we just harvested. Now we're on our way up to the cottage. Hello there and good morning. We're in the greenhouse today. It's beautiful and warm. Perhaps a little bit on the hot side. So what I've decided to do, I'm going to show you how I look after my tomatoes. And we've got a couple of boxes there with potatoes in. We'll turn those out and see if we can get a boiling of potatoes out of them for the weekend. Now one of our subscribers was asking us about the grapevine, whether you could take cuttings etc. from it. Well, I took some in the autumn and I popped them in here in the corner. And they've taken, so I'll just show you. So Clarice, this is my rooted grapevine cuttings. Now you see they're growing well. I've lost 2. I put 5 in and 3 are growing. These are dead, look, you can see. So there's 2 failed, but they're doing quite well. So that's the cuttings that we took last autumn. Just pushed them in the pot and just put them in the corner and left them all winter, and they've grown quite well. I do believe that one of these is going to Gemma's that she wants to grow on a gazebo. But what I normally do is in the morning or late evening when it's a little bit cooler and I'm doing the watering, I look round the tomatoes and I trim off and clean up. But this week I've left these 2 so you can see what sort of maintenance you have to do to your tomatoes. Now this is what I do, everybody has a little bit of variation, but it's all basically the same. As you can see, they're really, really tall now. That's in the last week, they've really pushed up, but I was tempted to cut them, but I've left them especially for today. Now, as you can see, the peppers have got quite tall, and I'm not going to reduce any foliage or anything on those, although I might take the bottom leaves off, the bigger ones. We'll come to that in a moment. First job with the tomatoes then, I'm going to try and create a little bit more light in there. They don't need the light, they need the heat to ripen, but it's just general maintenance. There's a start. Can you see how it's grown through the flower and now it's producing leaves? It will actually, I have left one of these ones, they actually keep going and producing more and more, but the cost of these tomatoes behind. So the best thing to do is just take that off, look, we don't want that. Any of those that's on the end of your flowers, your fruiting spurs, take them off. It will keep producing and producing and producing. Finish up with hundreds and hundreds of little tiny tomatoes instead of decent tomatoes that we're after. Another one here, another one here. I'll go round with the secateurs. It's best to cut them off. You can really you could just nip them off with your fingers, but if you cut them, at least it's a nice clean cut. That one's actually coming out the side, look. Just take them off, and that leaf will just nip that off. The thing I do, I remove all the leaves up to or just above the first truss of tomatoes. There's the first truss on this one, that one, so we'll take those off there, look. If you can get them and just pull them up, they do come off quite easy. You see? If it looks like it's going to tear, do cut them, don't pull them at all. There's the truss. That leaf there is hanging down, look, so we'll just cut that. Put that back. There you are, look, then it's a nice bit light. The other thing I do, I trim the leaves back by about half, so it opens the whole bush up. So I'll just show you if I can get there. There's your tomato. So if I just like cut there, you see. Some people do this, some don't. I like to. As you can see, the plant is suffering a little bit now. I think it'll want a little bit more feed, but that's no problem. Tomatoes will be fine. Just take some of these off, and then later on, when we've just ripening the last few tomatoes, take all the leaves off then. But at the moment, if you just take a few off, it opens it up. You see this one's all tied up here. Let's get him out and take him off. That's better, you see. Getting quite a few tomatoes on them now. Let's take that one off. I think that will do for now. Now if you look at the top, it's hitting the glass and the side shoots coming all over it. I can hardly reach up there now, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to take that, I'm going to stop it just above that leaf joint there with that sharp secateurs. These are the trial secateurs, so they're making a good job, and take that off. Now this one will fruit nicely up there. It's got one or two leaves up there, it'll be fine. Can you see that? Look, one's taken off there. Let's take that away. That'll do there. Another one here, look. Some varieties have lots of these, others don't. But they're no good because that would take away some of the energy you want into the fruit. And as I said before, it'll just keep growing and growing. Now as you can see, that's a nice tidy tomato plant. There's another side shoot there, just one's nipping out. That'll come along nicely now. Right, while I'm here, I'll just quickly do this one and show you how it's done. You'll see them both done. Again, I'm going to take all that top out. We don't want it'll rub on the glass and it won't make much anyway. So take that out. Normally I would stop it earlier, but I wanted to show you how to maintain them a bit, especially with those end shoots coming. So I'll just work my way down. A bit more light in there, and I can see what's happening as well with the tomatoes. Look at this, it's all tangled up. And I'm going to untangle that. If you're untangling them, you will probably knock some of the tomatoes off like that one. You see, if you let them get this far, that's the price you pay, I'm afraid. That's it, we got it now. Look. Just take that bit of leaf off, as it will go rotten. And again, and then down here, just take these bottom ones off. Have a quick look at all your ties. Make sure your ties are nice and loose as you go up. They're fine, look. They're nice and loose. Keep an eye out for your little side shoots coming. If you nip them off that when they're that big, it makes life a lot easier. Look, you just sort of wipe them out. Another thing I have done, these peppers produce big leaves on the stems. There was all on here, look, you see. Similar to that, perhaps a little bit bigger than that. So what I do, I just take those off. Another one there, look. There you go. And I just keep the smaller leaves on the stem, and that lets more of the energy up into the top. Now the cucumbers, I've stripped some leaves off. We did have one of them fall anyway because it broke its ties and come tumbling down. So that one I had to take a lot of the leaves off that got damaged. As you can see, the cucumbers are really coming large now. We're having to give quite a few away now. There's far too many for us to eat. Melons are doing quite well now. You see, we've got fruit. Melons beginning to form now. You get the male flowers at the bottom and the female flowers up here. As you can see there, look. Now we don't want a lot more foliage on. Such like as this, I cut off because it will get all into the cucumbers and everywhere. There's another one here, look, that's jumped across, but that's got a melon at the base of it, so we'll just take the end of that one off. See, you've got loads of melons coming, so we'll just stop that there, look, to strengthen the melon as well. Now, watering wise, I give the melons half a can twice a day. Everything else gets about half a can to each pot in the evening, but at midday or early afternoon I take 2 or 3 cans of water and I put them between the pots on the floor and wet the concrete middle, because a lot of the roots now that from these plants are actually in the gravel below, and they're not just in the pots no more. If you try to move one, you'll have quite a job to get it out of the gravel. So the roots are in the gravel, so I water the gravel, not the plant. And it seems to be working quite well. Although, as you can see, some of them are showing a little bit of yellowing in the leaves. Tomatoes are the same. I think it's more stress from the heat because they're getting enough feed. They shouldn't require any different feed. It just really does get hot in here in the day, especially just after lunchtime. That's what to do water wise. I would sooner put the water on the floor between the pots than into the pots. And also it keeps that nice moist atmosphere in this little greenhouse as well. These are doing very well. We've got plenty set now. Looking rather good. Good colour. So I know the feeding's okay. Now the peppers like this to be sunbathing, where everything else, the tomatoes like the heat but not too much. Now we'll put the tarpaulin down and we'll have a look at these potatoes. Right, these are the 2 potato boxes I planted. I put 2 potatoes in each about 100 days ago now, and the idea was that we might be able to get some early potatoes for using now. So now's the testing time where we tip them out. We either get half a boiling or 2 boilings out of them. So let's tip them out and have a look. I've removed the tops and left them to dry so I can burn them later. So I'll just tip them out and we'll see what we've got. Well, we've definitely got one. I think the best thing to do is to tip the whole thing and then sort out when we've got it up, okay? It looks like I'll need some new boxes making next season. So let's see what we're gonna get. There we go, look. Not bad. Let's have a look in here. There we go. Now, I can't remember what variety these were. I'll have to look it up in the diary and let you know. There's the old seed tater, look. So that's done its job. They're not bad. Don't really want to keep them out in the sun too long, or they'll green over. Let's have a look. The skin's coming off very, very easily, so they should be fine. They're very dry. Another one there. Look. I'll take them all out if we can. There's the other root. Bit of wind this morning. You think we got them? There you go, I think that's got them all. That's it. That's not bad from 2 potatoes. There you are, look. 1 or 2 a little bit of green on that. Right, the same again, then we'll tip the other one over. They're quite heavy. Oh! Let's move that one, look. That should be at the bottom. That's a good one. 2 good ones. That one's that good. Look, it's split. We'll tip them, it's easier. I think it says. And still producing potatoes, so we could have really left them for a little while, but then we won't be enjoying them as new potatoes, will we, if we left them? They're fine. Throw the roots over there. Look. Oh dear. still some more yet, I think. Oh, good. I don't think there'll be a lot more in the bottom, but we'll check. It's a bit too deep for them. No, you've got them. This compost that we've used is a mixture, I think it was old peat, a little bit of soil and a little bit of really rotten manure that I put in them. Now I won't be putting this back into the compost heaps because it won't rot down anymore. I'm going to put it in what we call the Dalek and leave it there till it's full, and then when I want to replenish one of the beds I can put this on and just lightly turn it into the top. Very useful for a conditioner. Obviously as I lift it into the wheelbarrow I'll screen it through the riddle again, make sure there's no potatoes in there so we'll get another potato going. But it's a good soil conditioning compost for them top few inches when you really need it. If you put it in a compost heap it's not going to rot down anymore, so we might as well use it as something else. Okay. Right, we've brought them down to the shed now where it's a little bit cooler under the grapevine, and we're just letting them settle for a little while. As you can see, that's the potatoes that we've got from 4. We put 4 small ones in like that and we got that out. But it's not so much what you get, it's because you've got it now. You can have them as a new potato, and believe me, they do taste beautiful, that real old-fashioned new potato taste. That's another basket of soft fruit, gooseberries, red and green. There's still a few more green to go yet, but that's enough for today, I think. Now we've harvested those potatoes in the boxes, and I think about another week, yes, we'll give them another week, and then we'll try some of the first potatoes down on the plot. Now the broccoli that we cut has all been frozen down, and if you remember we left it so we could have new shoots coming up. Now they have shooted a little, they've got quite nice little rosettes all round them, so over the weekend, especially when it gets a bit cooler than what it is now, perhaps this evening, I'll go down there and cut those, and we can use those over the weekend as well, and that will finish that broccoli bed, and then I can clear the bed and put some of those cabbage plants in. If you remember, we set too early, so they can go in there and we'll have like a bonus crop before the autumn ones go in. Now that'll be about it for this week. So thank you for watching, many thanks for subscribing, and hopefully we'll see you next week. Bye now.